my skin so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Life Gorgeous. Look, it's Jonny Athletic. The Life Gorgeous is where I share my magical life in hopes of improving your life. We are in the midst of playoffs, Timberwolves, stress, passion, tension. Hi, Jonny.
Hello, Craigers. How we doing? You excited here?
Well, I'm trying to be, I have to control myself because of I don't use the word hatred because my parents said don't use the word hate, but I loathe Draymond and Jimmy Butler.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope it's a good matchup. I'm concerned that it might not be a good matchup. So for everyone listening, Jonny Athletic is John Krasinski, who writes for The Athletic, and he wrote a piece today and he referenced Kevin McHale clotheslining Kurt Rambis.
You have to.
Bring it back. How much? I mean, it's going to be fireworks, obviously.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Like I do think, Craig, that the Rockets were probably the better matchup for the Wolves.
Why do you say that?
I think the Rockets play bigger. The Wolves like to play big. The Rockets also offensively are we're coming right at you. There's no tricks. There's no movement. They struggle to shoot the ball. So I thought that, yes, they're more athletic. Yes, they are a little bit better defensively than the Warriors are. But I just think that they're a more straight up opponent. I think that the Warriors, with their movement offensively, with their just experience in these moments with Steph, with Jimmy, I just think that their ceiling is higher. And so I do think that it's a tougher matchup for the Wolves. That said, this is the one that I want. Like this, I mean, how can you not be entertained by all of the subplots, all of the storylines that are involved in this thing? It's going to be just high level intensity.
So it'll be, I'll be there tomorrow. I will be there.
Can't wait.
At Target Center for games 1 and 2. And one of the questions I have is, as you know, the home crowd will boo when Jimmy touches the ball and Draymond. Has that ever happened where they're going to get worn out booing, but booing for two opponents?
I can't remember. Usually there's one. Usually it's one target of ire in Target Center. But to have literally, I think the two most hated players in the league from the Wolves fan perspective on the same team. I mean, the Wolves Wolves fans did not like LeBron and Luka. They certainly did not like them, but this is a different level.
Oh yeah.
I mean, entirely. So the electricity and the toxicity, maybe that's going to be in the air in game 1. It's going to be off the charts.
I did pick the Wolves in 6 against the Lakers, and it was 5. I'm going to pick the Wolves again in 6. I just think that's a safe bet. I just think I think they're a better team, but I am very concerned for all the reasons you mentioned. And late in the game, Steph is clutch. And I wanted to say one thing back to the Lakers series. John and I have an inside joke where you use the word microcosm after the 24-point lead the Wolves had at Milwaukee and they lost it. And then you said to Finchy, and you and Finchy get along, but it's you have to do you're sometimes poetic, but you also writers like to put things in perspective. Was this a microcosm of the season where have a big lead and don't concentrate, you lose it? And he said, no, it was a bad fourth quarter against a zone defense. And then I had fun with Jonny. When we went to Rayo's Hollywood, I sat him down. I said, I just want to help you with the word microcosm. But I had this joke for you. You could still do it. But I was going to send it to you when the Lakers were eliminated. And I wanted your first question to be to Finch. Coach, was this kind of a microcosm of the season where when you have to win, you guys do? Like, what would he have done if you used that word again?
He actually may have grinned or smirked.
Yeah.
I actually may keep that in my back pocket and use it if they move on in the
Yes.
next round. It's a great one, and he gets a little ornery sometimes, as all coaches do.
Right.
He and I do have a very good relationship, so he may appreciate that, and I would give you an assist on that bucket if
Right.
we work it out. So
Thank you. So speaking of coaches, I have said I texted somebody today, and it's what I've decided. I'm a Steve Kerr fan. I think he's a class act. This is me being a little harsh, but Steve Kerr has sold his soul to coach Draymond Green.
Yeah.
I mean, I know the tricks he does. Can I tell you what? I think the NBA and the refs have to know this. Draymond Green will pretend to lose his balance, like take a charge and flail, and purposely take his hand and slap the guy in the head, in the face, or in the groin area. He'll take his leg and I'm losing my balance. I'm going to kick the guy in the crotch. I mean, that's what it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And if you're Finchy, what do you tell the players about Draymond?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's going to be similar to what Finchy told the players about the referees in the Lakers series, is that composure is going to be key.
Right.
I think that the message will probably be, let Draymond get himself out of sorts and don't take the bait, because he will make those wild gesticulations. He'll make those cheap, dirty little plays, and then he will pick up a flagrant foul here or there, or a technical like he did last night in the game against the Rockets, and that could be damaging to the Warriors' efforts. And the one thing that the Wolves cannot do is respond with force in some way to jeopardize one of their guys getting suspended or one of their guys, getting thrown out of the game, because one of their big advantages in the series is their depth, the Wolves.
Yeah.
And so if you thin out the herd a little bit, that's going to level the playing field. And so the Wolves' ability, especially I think Rudy Gobert's ability to just play the game, is going to be critical in this series and not get drawn into whatever gutter Draymond Green wants to go into.
Yeah, I want to comment an approach on Draymond. I just want to say that with the trade of Cat, and John and I are Cat fans, and I have 3 different people I know in Minnesota who still make fun of Cat, which bothers me, but it's a reflection of them. But and the Knicks do not use Cat at all. It's ridiculous. No. Jalen Brunson, I don't know what's going on. He's a terrific player, obviously, but they don't look for Cat. That's life. But I like the trade. I said, okay, if you're going to trade him, I like this. I think these are 2 good players. Let's see how it works out. Now I kind of love it because the way Julius Randle is playing. And now going against these guys, he's an enforcer. He's a tough guy. Do you remember the play in the Lakers series, kind of in transition around midcourt, where he jumped up on Luka and then purposely, in my opinion, landed on him and clobbered him? Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yes. He may disagree with the purposely part of it, but it certainly it looked like it was sending a message in some way. Yes.
And I hope I've seen him on the offensive boards flail his arms. I hope if Draymond plays games with Julius Randle, I think will tactfully hit him back somehow without getting caught. And does that make sense?
100%. And I do think that is Julius's greatest strength, in that he can play that kind of game, but it also has sort of a stabilizing effect for the Timberwolves.
Yeah.
Because, anytime that they were just kind of letting go of the rope a little bit in that Lakers series, it was, Julius, give me the dang ball. I'm going to put my shoulder into someone's chest, and I'm going to score at the bucket.
Yep.
And he, we have seen, and like you said, both you and I love Cat to death. One of the issues that I would have with him is when it got frenetic, he would play a frenetic game.
Yep.
And it often like exacerbated
Yeah.
the chaos.
Straight voltage.
Yep. And I think Julius does a good job of playing within the chaos, but then being the stabilizer.
Yeah.
And so I do think that there is an opportunity for him in this series, whether it's going at Draymond, whether it's going at Jimmy Butler, and just using that force to be the lighthouse in the storm for the Wolves, because there are going to be storms in this series. There's no doubt. And so if Randle is able to give them that same kind of output in the middle of those tense moments, that's going to be enormous for the Wolves.
And he's been working extra in practice on his 3-point shooting, and he's been hitting it in the playoffs because he's kind of mercurial with his 3-point shooting historically. So some of the predictions I looked early today, I didn't see too many, but there was a couple guys. I can't remember where they were from, like the Oklahoma paper or something. I don't know, but who these guys were. They were actually picking the Wolves in 6 and 7. There were 4 guys. But I did see the prediction last night on Inside the NBA. So Barkley had the Wolves and Kenny and Shaq had the Warriors. Not that I listen to these guys, but I am concerned because I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know if Buddy Hield's going to be hot. But I guess the question is, one of them said that Rudy will be played off the court. Now, he was kind of played off the court in the first few games against the Lakers, and then he wasn't, and he completely dominated. Rudy in the series. What are your thoughts on Rudy in this series?
It's going to be an interesting series for him. One thing that we saw the Warriors do against Houston was they kind of singled up Şengün and just said, hey, if you're going to get yours, that's fine. We're going to make it tougher on the other guys around to get shots off. And Şengün is so skilled offensively that he was able to kind of go to work against Draymond, against Jimmy, against, Podziemski, whoever switched onto him, and be kind of effective in that role. That's not Rudy's game offensively, obviously. I think if Rudy's going to be effective, it's going to be very similar to the game 5 against the Lakers, where it's grabbing offensive rebounds, it's put back dunks, it's doing things like that. If not, I can absolutely see a scenario where it was like the first 4 games of the Lakers series where it's Naz Reid and Julius Randle in the front court, because Naz Reid historically gives the Warriors all kinds of problems with his skill level, with his, ability to make plays. And so what I like most about this Wolves team, Craig, is that they can win multiple different ways.
Absolutely.
They have a lot of different levers to pull. And so I think they will start out with Rudy and hope that he plays well. And if he does play well, it's going to be a really short series. Like I really believe that. But if he doesn't, or if they have to figure things out, they can go to plan B and be very successful in that way too.
They were talking, and I'm going to ask you, they isolated, the Lakers were at the beginning of the series, were setting the pick to get Rudy guarding Luka. And I guess they went away from that. I'm not sure why.
Didn't work well.
Okay. So Rudy played pretty well.
Good enough.
Yeah. So if they do it where Steph is now guarded by Rudy, is what one of the guys on Inside the NBA suggested. I assume that's problematic.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that Steph is just quicker and craftier than Luka. So I think it's going to be harder for Rudy to stay in front of him. The other thing that concerns me a little bit about the Warriors, which I think that they're a tougher matchup than the Lakers because A, they're much better defensively, but B, I kind of trust Buddy Hield, Podziemski, Butler, the other outlets that Curry's going to have off of that ISO to hurt the Wolves more than Austin Reeves could, more than, Finney Smith could, more than a lot of these other guys could. So it is going to be a challenge, I think, if they're going to draw Steph into those ISO situations a lot against Rudy. That said, I also don't think that the Wolves have to be completely frightened of it because their whole approach in this series should be, this is going to be a long series and we're going to wear them down. We're just
Yeah.
we're going to lean on them and wear them down. And if Steph wants to run ISO after ISO after ISO, that's going to take a lot out of him. And he is an incredibly conditioned athlete. But you think that over the long haul, over 5, 6, 7 games, that should play into the Wolves' favor if they can just wear the Warriors out that way.
Well, well, well. Omaha Steaks does it again. They have a new product, young people. It's called the Smash Burger, and it's a hit. First of all, I love the name Smash Burger. Then there's the flavor, the crispy caramelized sear, and the bold beefy taste. You can make smash burgers at home without the hassle or mess. They're pre-smashed and 100% extra aged beef that won't fall apart when you flip them. And right now you can get 16 free in the Built for the Grill pack at omahasteaks.com/smash. 16 free smash burgers. I just got my order last week of smash burgers from Omaha Steaks, and I made them Sunday after the Wolves beat the Lakers in Minnesota, and then I made them again Wednesday night, late, after the Wolves eliminated the Lakers. Oh, yeah, it was late, but it was a celebration. Cooked the smash burgers on the stovetop and toasted some sourdough bread, and this time, Kilby went with Swiss cheese. So good. Omaha Steaks has been America's original butcher since 1917, a family-owned company with over 100 years of expertise in the meat industry. Get ready to smash expectations with new Omaha Steaks Smash Burgers. Visit omahasteaks.com/smash and order the Built for the Grill pack with 16 free smash burgers. That's 16 free Omaha Steaks Smash Burgers at omahasteaks.com/smash. See site for details. The one thing I want to point out, and I hope we take advantage of it, is Steph Curry turns the ball over. He really gets loose with the ball. And you trap him. I've seen him lose the ball. I hope I'm really curious to see what the Wolves do defensively, who matches up with whom. But Steph will turn the ball over. Obviously, got to win game one because, they're coming off a 7-game series. But I think it just changed everything when if it's Houston, we're like, okay, we don't know much about Houston. But now it's like, don't you think everybody in Minnesota is just like, we can't stand these guys?
Totally. Yes. And I do. It's been interesting, Craig, because I've seen a lot of sort of chatter from Wolves fans over the last, few hours of, this is the team we wanted. We're going to beat them easily and all this stuff. And it's just like, you never see that kind of confidence with the Wolves team. And I am not, I think they're going to win. I do. Like, I think it's Wolves in 6. But I am not ready for the cakewalk that apparently a lot of fans believe, these old guys are not going to be able to something like Jimmy Butler and Draymond Green and even Steph Curry, they are fueled by hate. Like they are as stubborn as any athletes could ever be. And so I expect them fully to be absolute demons out there and really difficult to play against. Because remember, the Warriors went 3-1 against the Wolves in the regular season, and that was before Jimmy Butler, when they were not a good team. So I think this is going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight here.
I agree, and I'm concerned. But I think it's smart to be concerned because there's talent. I was concerned about the Lakers. You know what? At the end of the regular season, after the Luka trade, the Lakers were winning, and so were the Warriors. And I wanted to see how they played against each other. And the Lakers went up there, and they lost convincingly to the Warriors. There's some guys on the Warriors. I can't remember if it was Moody or Gary Payton Jr. who played pretty good D on Ant in one of the games.
Yeah, Payton, I think.
Was it? Yeah. And so I want to say one side note because this kind of makes me laugh. I think you can say this about most teams, but we have more depth than most teams. But if we ever had a game, where Rudy does his thing and Randle and Ant, and then Dante shoots well, and so does Nah, and so does Nas, we win by like 40. I mean,
No question.
We never have where everybody, I guess there aren't enough shots to go around where Jaden and everybody contribute. But they're all going to have to. And I was going to say something about Jaden. He's a tough SOB. He doesn't put up with anything. You remember him with Klay Thompson and stuff. But the problem is he's not subtle about it. He doesn't know the Draymond tricks.
Right.
And so I am very confident in the toughness of our Wolves now because of Randle, Dante DiVincenzo, Jaden McDaniels, the Ant-Man. But I get so irritated watching, and I can't turn it off at Target Center. I guess I could storm out and go out to the Lexus Club, but so let's go to Jimmy, who I've said that Draymond bothers me more because I see what he does on the court, and Jimmy just is a really good ball player, and he just is a bad apple when he wants to get traded, but he hasn't played much against Anthony Edwards.
No, he hasn't. Especially at Target Center.
He took the ball away from him once. That's going to be interesting. It was kind of like I was curious to see how Dylan Brooks would go up against Jimmy, and they were irritated with each other, calling each other names at the foul line. And Bill Kennedy goes, "You guys talking about me?" But anyway, so first of all, does Jimmy guard Ant? Is my first question.
I don't think so, Craig. He's a little injured right now. I think you're going to see more Moody, Gary Payton, and with a little bit of help, maybe Jimmy helps, on a trap sort of thing or a double. Maybe Pajemski does something like that. But I think that they're probably, I would expect, I guess, for them to have maybe Jimmy roaming a little bit more. And Moody is just a little bit shiftier, and Peyton is a little quicker, and also they need a lot from Jimmy offensively. And so if you're going to ask him to guard Ant and then play on the offensive end and be a big part of that, that's going to be asking a lot. So I would think that there will be times in the series where they are matched up against each other, and I'm sure Target Center will just be buzzing if Ant ever has him out on the wing and ready to go. But I don't think it's going to be a steady diet of it. I think he's going to see other faces a lot more.
What about Ant guarding Jimmy?
So I think that's more of a possibility. You'll have Jaden on Steph, I think, for the most part. Ant will get some Steph as well, but Jaden and Nikhil will probably get more of the Steph minutes. I think Conley will go to Pajemski, and then it's Ant, either on Moody or Jimmy. I think Julius Randle will see a lot of Jimmy as well. I think he likes that physicality. I think that Jimmy is really good with the craftiness and the pump fakes and things like that, and Randle does a pretty good job of not biting on those things. So I would imagine that Jimmy's going to see a lot of Ant and a lot of Julius Randle from a Wolves standpoint on defense.
One observation, you mentioned Julius Randle doesn't go on pump fakes, which is true, but he screwed up twice against Luka on the 3-point line where he pressured him. He gave Luka 3 free throws twice in the series. It was like, what are you doing? You chill out a little bit on the 3-point line. He's got to be careful there. So why hasn't Butler played against the Wolves in Target Center? Why has he avoided them?
It's been curious, I'll say, Craig. He's never said anything publicly about it. There's been a few times where he has been injured. I think more of it is general soreness than anything else. And I do think that there have been games where he just doesn't want to play in targets or doesn't want to deal with the cat calls and the
Right.
chants and the chiding and all of that stuff. Obviously, it will be different in the playoffs. He won't, he won't back down from any of that stuff. But there were several times. There's been a couple of times his team has come down very early in the season, like early November, and he hasn't played in those games.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, like you're not hurt. You just don't
Right.
want to play. And so it's been weird because, Jimmy is a tough guy. He kind of, his persona is, I'm tougher than you. I'm stronger mentally than you. I'm going to beat you down. And then he hasn't shown up for some of these, and their regular season games. Ultimately, is it a big deal? Probably not. But it has been odd, I guess, that he has missed so many of them. And I think that Wolves fans have been waiting a very long time to give them a piece of his mind, of their mind. And they're going to do that on Tuesday night for sure.
So you don't think Jimmy sits out tomorrow night? No.
I made the joke on Barrero that he might, but I don't think he will. No.
I want to say something about Coach Kerr, besides that he sold his soul. He does a good job against Ant.
Mm-hmm.
They do a good job. I saw them years ago when Damian Lillard was having a terrific playoff, and they just took him out. They just took him out, and I was like, let somebody else bring the ball. They would just trap him, and he'd get rid of the ball and didn't get it back. But I think the Warriors do, besides trap and blitz, I think they do a real sag where they just take away any penetration. I thought that I've seen the Lakers do it a couple years ago in that play-in game when Rudy was out. This is after he punched slow-mo, and Cat kind of carried the Wolves, but Ant had a terrible game against the Lakers because he couldn't get any good shots. I think the Warriors play good defense against Ant as a team. Does that sound right?
Yeah, no, I think that's right. And I think here's one of the things that they use against Ant is what we have seen in these matchups, and it's all been regular season, is that Ant has a very real desire to beat the best players. Mm-hmm. And there was definitely one time earlier this season at Chase Center where the Wolves were up in the fourth quarter, and then Ant wanted to say, I'm beating Steph Curry in his house by myself, and I'm going to take these crazy threes, and I'm going to go to the lane for these wild shots and force things. And I'm going to be the guy who walks into his house, puts my feet on his table with my shoes on, and just and takes it over. So one thing that was encouraging about the Lakers series is that Ant didn't feel the need really to do that. And he played a much more mature game. And that's what he's going to have to do in this series. Because I do believe the Warriors will say, okay, Jaden McDaniels, you did that against the Lakers. Now do it against us.
Right.
Okay, Randall, you did it against the Lakers. Do it against us. They are going to make other players try to beat them. And the worst thing that Ant can do is get into a mano. I'm going to take this from my Olympic coach, from Steph Curry, and I'm going to be the one that has the pelt on my wall kind of thing. He's got to play a playmaking type of a game. And then when things open for himself, he's got to cash through. He can't go 0 for 11 from 3 again. But yes, I think the Warriors will play those mind games and try to lure him into, hey, let's go shot for shot. Let's see what you can do. And that would be a bad scenario for the Wolves.
So I'm just going to be candid. I actually wanted Houston because it's less visceral for me. It's less emotional for me, even though we wouldn't have home court. So I'm glad we have home court. That's the advantage with the Warriors winning for me. And I will take the Wolves in 6. And I hope there are no ejections unless it's on their side. I hope we're physical, but smart is what I'm hoping. John, I want to ask you just a random question about when you're in media row, and I know you're not allowed to cheer the media people. Do they actually have somebody monitor that?
No, it's self-policing really.
Okay.
And so I will say, like, if there's someone that's we are fine with a ho, or like a, just like Ant makes a big three or
Yeah.
something, like, oh,
Yeah.
you can react, you can be human. But if there is someone who is openly cheering for one team or the other, usually someone else in the section will go over to them and say, hey, look, this is not acceptable. You got to be professional. And then if it keeps up, then we go to the PR staffs and say,
interesting.
it's very rarely happened in my
Okay.
career, but
Right.
it's, once or twice it does. But yeah, usually we're all pretty professional and try and police ourselves and don't let it get out of hand. But it's interesting in there sometimes.
Do the Warrior reporters sit next to you guys, or
So
are they somewhere else?
yeah, they're two different sections. So you know where we sit in kind of the corner by the opposite the Wolves bench by your guy Charlie Swanson, and then on the other side of that same sideline is where the Warriors,
Okay.
media are. So we are socias and greasers, or whatever you want to call it. We're separated
Right.
by the two. So there's no Ron Burgundy type of confrontations going on.
Well, it's going to be exciting, and I just have to settle down because I have visions of Draymond saving a loose ball and clobbering me, and I accidentally react, and my hand goes across his face, the back of my hand. These are dreams that I have.
Hey,
and
you just be following his example. Like,
it's just a reaction, and that's what I've seen him do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
I will see you tomorrow, young man.
I cannot wait. Let's go. It's going to be super fun.
Going to be a great series. That's John Krasinski, Johnny Athletic. He writes for The Athletic, and he sometimes uses big words like microcosm. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's our show. We'll see you next time. And remember, young people, I'm proud of you.